All right, so Elimination Chamber 2021. This is an interesting show because while it was a newsworthy show, it was a show that things happen on this show that are going to be leading to WrestleMania that are very important for WrestleMania. It was sort of an empty show in some ways. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird show because when it ended, I was like, a lot of things happen on this show, but like, is any of it really truly that impactful? I mean, I guess some of it is, some of it isn't. It just seems like the natural kind of course building up to WrestleMania this year. So we started the show off with the SmackDown Elimination Chamber. And this would have been Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and King Corbin. And the winner got to face Roman Reigns later on this show. This whole idea is, of course, that Roman Reigns is a heel, and he's kind of a prick. He's kind of a bully. So he wants to go in there and fight a dude after he's already survived 5 other dudes in the chamber and kind of pick them apart. And that's pretty much what happened, actually. Daniel Bryan won. As far as the chamber match goes, the problem with the Elimination Chamber, y'all, if I'm being real with you, is that it's kind of a played out gimmick in the sense of they do it once a year, but it's always the same thing. And ever since they remodeled the chamber like 4 years ago and they put the pads, it's not as gruesome, it's not as violent. It's kind of a pussy ass chamber. I mean, I'm just keeping it real with you. It's just not the same. And on this show, it was okay. Like the finishing sequence with Bryan, I thought was really, really good. Like the Bryan Cesaro stuff, that was great. Like these are 2 great workers who have worked together for like a decade and a half or more, actually. Probably more now that I think about it. And they went in there and they did a great job. Jey Uso is freaking awesome. I love his character. I love him, what he's been doing lately. I love the stuff he did with Roman, obviously, but him being like Roman's lackey and protecting Roman is awesome. Kind of trying to be in there as like the last line of defense. That was cool. But we've already seen so many different chamber matches throughout the years. I've been around for a long time. I've seen every Elimination Chamber match, all of them. And we've seen everything. We've seen guys climb the cage. We've seen the cage glass door get smashed. We've seen the cage get ripped open, or the chamber, I'm sorry. We've seen, crazy spots from the outside, the inside. The Elimination Chamber used to be one of the coolest things ever when they sparingly did it. Like, maybe once a year or one pay-per-view a year they had it once. But when you do 2 a year, it dilutes it. Same thing with the Hell in a Cell, TLC. It's always been this way. And now going into these chamber matches, there's no crowd, and, it just doesn't feel the same. Now, again, I respect the work. Don't get me wrong. But to me, like, the work was the best part, honestly. Now, after Daniel Bryan won, Roman Reigns came out, the Universal Champion, and fought him right then and there and pretty much just smashed him, just squashed him because Bryan was, barely able to get on his feet. He was all getting beat up, and Roman Reigns pretty much dominated him. And of course, this is supposed to be, not supposed to be, but this is the match that people wanted for WrestleMania, was Bryan versus Roman. But they're going to do it probably at Fastlane because, yes, Daniel Bryan did lose to Roman Reigns here, but Adam Pearce is going to book Daniel Bryan in a rematch, this time with Bryan being fresh at Fastlane, and then, they'll build it up to that, and then Roman will win that match going into WrestleMania, because what happened here was when Reigns finished Daniel Bryan off, Edge gets in the ring, and it was really well done. Edge, sneaks in the ring and then spears him, and then after he spears him, he points to the WrestleMania sign, so that's pretty much him telling the audience, it's going to be me and Edge. Not me and Drew, it's going to be me and Edge at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, me and Roman. Edge say me and Roman. So it's going to be Edge and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which is the match that I wanted. The Tribal Chief against the returning legend. There's going to be some cool storytelling here from both these guys. Paul Heyman's involved. Paul Heyman loves Edge. I'm very excited to see how they build this matchup on TV. And I have not, I don't watch SmackDown every week, I just don't. It's just, wrestling is hard to watch for me now, except for NXT and AEW and New Japan. Too much wrestling. But Roman Reigns and Edge is going to be a fun feud. And I was hoping it would be this, and it was this. So that's his decision. So then we had a triple threat match. It was Riddle, Bobby Lashley, and John Morrison for the U.S. title. I swear I predicted a month ago, I said, Lashley's gonna probably go for the title because he's been protected, but they're gonna have him lose in a triple threat match without getting pinned. And that's exactly what they did here. Riddle pins John Morrison to become the U.S. champion, and Bobby Lashley did not get pinned. He was the United States champion. He dropped it without actually losing, with the idea being that Lashley has been protected, which he has. He's one of the few guys they have on the roster who has not been jobbing all the time. He actually is protected. He has been built up right. So the eventual Bobby Lashley-Drew McIntyre WrestleMania match, which is coming, by the way, don't let yourself get fooled by that. I knew the minute Lashley dropped that title tonight, I knew it was going to be Lashley and Drew McIntyre WrestleMania. And it will be. And I know what you're thinking. Well, wait a minute. What about... I'll get there. I'll get there in a minute. So Lashley drops the U.S. title, and Riddle's the U.S. champion. To me, that's fine, except for the fact that Riddle has not been booked well at all. Maybe now he will be. I doubt it. But maybe now he will be. They are building to The Miz and John Morrison against Punishment Martinez. People call him Damian Priest, but I prefer to use Punishment Martinez. And the Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. So this idea of The Miz wrestling Drew McIntyre, it's not happening, guys. Either Drew's going to get the belt back from Miz on television or on Fastlane, or Bobby Lashley will get it back, and then Drew will chase Bobby Lashley. Either way, it's going to be Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. Miz is booked with Bad Bunny. That's what's going to happen. I mean, I'm telling you right now. And people were like, when I said on Twitter, like, Lashley versus Drew, this didn't age well. Boy, are you going to look stupid very soon, bro. You're going to look really stupid very soon because Miz is not wrestling for that title at WrestleMania. Was it a waste of Money in the Bank? Yeah, it always seems to be nowadays. But remember, Otis had it first, so who knows. At least they were able to use this for storylines later. In fact, you know, it was right around this time they showed a vignette of MVP talking to Miz. So this is a grand plan right here. And I think the plan might be that Lashley purposely helped Drew McIntyre, purposely helped Miz beat Drew McIntyre by beating him up so that Lashley can get a shot at Miz when he became champion. So I think that was the plan right there. We'll find out. But I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. Then Lashley will become the champion of the WWE champion. So, women's tag team champion, Nia Jax, championship. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. It's the classic, you know, WrestleMania opponents must team up or whatever. And, you know, Sasha Banks got pinned by Nia Jax. Bianca Belair was on the outside. This, of course, is going to lead to a Nia Jax, Sasha Banks one-on-one match for the women's title. Obviously, in that match, Sasha will win. Most likely. And we'll have Sasha and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. But they're kind of building towards Fastlane and WrestleMania both. Because Fastlane's in March, WrestleMania's in April. So they're building up to both shows like that. Overall, it was a pretty decent match. I just don't like Nia Jax anymore, bro. I don't want to see her in there anymore. Like, I'm done with Nia Jax. And then we had the Raw Elimination Chamber. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston, AJ Styles. I was pretty surprised that Sheamus, because there had been talks of, like, Sheamus being the guy to face Roman Reigns. To face Drew McIntyre at Fastlane. Because that feud has just begun. It begun, 3 weeks ago? Maybe a month ago? When Sheamus turned. That's over with here. It's done. Either they're going to have one more match, or I don't even know what they're going to do. They're probably going to have, Bobby Lashley versus Miz, and then Drew versus Sheamus, and blow those feuds off, and then do Drew and Bobby at WrestleMania. I don't really know, but Sheamus got pinned by AJ Styles. Now, they might do AJ versus Sheamus, although I think they're going to do AJ versus Big E. That could be the plan. But this chamber match was a little bit more brutal. I did enjoy this one a little bit more. Didn't have as much technical wrestling as the previous one did. But it's still, to me, Kofi Kingston was fine in here. I love how every time he comes out, he looks back because he knows he might get attacked like Edge did in 2010. Almost was, he broke the pod so he can get out of the chamber. That was pretty cool. They did some interesting stuff there, some unique stuff there. Randy Orton was awesome, as usual. But, the end was basically Drew McIntyre versus AJ, and then Drew McIntyre, he was going for the Phenomenal Forearm, and then McIntyre caught him with a kick, and it was awesome, bro. The Claymore kick spot was great. And then Bobby Lashley jumps McIntyre, beats him up, just assaults him, just does all kinds of moves on him. And then Miz comes out, cashes in. And after a while, Drew was kicking out of some moves, but then Miz got him with the skull crushing finale and becomes the champion. Obviously, the deal he made was with MVP. So obviously, it seems like what they're going to do is, the storyline being that Drew had to survive 5 other guys, and he was all beaten up. Then Bobby Lashley beat up even more, and then Miz beat up even more. So it's basically like 7 dudes, against Drew. It wasn't really like that, but you get what I'm saying? Like, he had to survive, 7 people total, and he couldn't do it. But it was a good storyline. It was a good way to get the belt off of Drew. Very smart. And having the Miz cash in for the second time, I think that means that him and CM Punk, right, they're the only 2-time successful Money in the Bank cash-ins, right? I can't think of anybody else. So there you go. And it's going to lead to, like I said, Lashley and Drew at WrestleMania, because they're going to have Lashley take the belt from Miz or have Drew take it from Miz. Probably Lashley, and then they'll do Lashley and Drew at WrestleMania, and Drew will get the belt back there. That's my guess. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. So that's the plan. So at least they got some angles going. At least now we have some WrestleMania matches already being set up. We have Roman Reigns and Edge already set up. We have Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley that was not quite set up, but we're getting there for it to be set up. And Sasha and Bianca. So the rest of the card, we'll see what happens. Obviously, the Miz and Morrison against Priest and Bad Bunny. That's going to happen at WrestleMania. He's training at the Performance Center. That's what's going to happen, and we'll see what other matches they have. We'll see who AJ wrestles, and, we'll see. But overall, this show, newsworthy, but not a very good show. Honestly, you could probably skip this entire show. Honest to God, you could. You could just see the results or see maybe the Miz cash in, and that's it, or just watch the highlights. There's really no reason to watch this show. There's better things to do with your time. Thanks again. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. There's just much better Elimination Chamber matches, much better ones than this one, than this show. So go watch those. Go watch 2002, 2003. Watch the one from 2005. Watch the one from 2010. I love 2010 and 2009. Those were great chamber matches. That's it. I will talk to you later.